We'll call the Stark County Planning and Zoning meeting to order. It's July 27, 2023. It's 3 p.m. It'll show that absent is Paul Claris, Kurt Freilich, John Oderman, and Susie Soboluk. And on the phone, we have Brock White. Is there anybody else on the phone? If not, then we'll do the minutes first for April 27, 2023. Is there any corrections or? Otherwise, I look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion approved. I have a second.
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried.
Chairman Franchuk, before we go to the public hearing, I just wanted to announce we have the new city planner for the city of Dickinson is here. And I'd like to go ahead and introduce him to you, and if he wants to say a few words, it's Matthew Galliber, and he's sitting in the back.
Okay,
So-
I didn't see him sneak in there. Okay. Okay.
You want anything you want to say to the P and Z today?
You can step up to the podium if you want so you can hear you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Pleasure to meet you. I've already met once before. My name is Matthew Galliber, currently the full-time city planner at the City of Dickinson, and I began on June 6th. I finished my bachelor's of urban planning at Arizona State University, moved on to study in Hong Kong, and thereafter gained my master's at the Norwegian University of Sciences and Technology. And then from there, I moved here directly and have been enjoying every moment of it. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But otherwise, it's very nice to meet you.
Okay, yeah. Welcome to the Dickinson area.
Thank you.
Okay, next then we'll open the public hearing for RZ 03-23 for Skyland Assets LLC, which is requesting a rezoning from agriculture rural residential on a property located on the southeast quarter of the southwest quarter and government lot 4 of section 7, township 140 north, range 96 west, containing approximately 72.31 acres. And do you have a representative here, Mr. Schrank, you would speak on that? Yeah. You just want to give your name and state what you're
Thank you,
planning there.
Commissioners. Andrew Schrank with Highlands Engineering, representing the applicant for this zone change. As stated, this is a request for a change from agricultural to rural residential. That's a 72.3 acre parcel. It's located just east of 114th Avenue Southwest and north of 32nd Street. The intention for this is the next item here on the agenda is for the subdivision plat for this property. The owner wants to subdivide this into residential lots of about 5 acres, a total of 13 lots with a central access road that we'll discuss more here in a minute. But that's the intention for this zone change. And with that, I stand for any questions you may have.
Okay, does the board have any questions for Mr. Schrank? Okay. Being done there, okay.
Thank you.
I'm gonna open up the public hearing then. If anybody has any questions for or against this request, you could step up to the podium and state your name. If you have any questions or comments. Public hearing, if anybody has any comments for or against this request to change zoning, you can step up to the podium. Anybody on the phone have any comment? Again, ask anybody from the public, any comment or against this change of zoning. Hearing none, then I'll ask for staff recommendations on this, close the public hearing.
Thank you, Chairman Franchuk. Commissioner Steve Josephson, County Planner, as was described before, this was a rezoning of approximately 72.31 acres. From agriculture to rural residential. There's a companion preliminary plat that you'll be reviewing today, for this. What the applicants wants to do is rezone this and develop it into 13 lots, and they're all about 5 acres in size. Staff recommends approval as, per the findings in the staff report, and also that the pattern in that area, there are a number of smaller lots with, you can't see it, but within a mile. There's I know that there's some lots that are also zoned rural residential that are in the vicinity. And also the city's extraterritorial zone touches the northwest corner, of that property. Staff recommends approval, subject to findings in the staff report, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Does the board have any questions?
Steve, you said the extraterritorial zoning from the city touches the northwest corner?
I'm sorry, the southeast corner.
The south,
My apologies, it's the
okay,
southeast
the
corner.
southeast corner. So it's just on the corner there? It doesn't run along the road line or anything?
Doesn't. And one more thing I did want to state was, we did receive a phone call from the property owner to the south of the property, and Mr. Raschow, who did express that he was in opposition to this. He just basically didn't think it was a place to put a subdivision. So I wanted to let you know that he was unable to make the meeting today, and just asked to let you know that he was in opposition to this. And we do mention in the staff report there was.
So
one
if you
person
had
opposition.
to guess, how close is the next residential development to this tract? Within a mile?
It's within, I think there is
Single
the
or-
Peters, there's right across the street on the north, just southwest of this, it's already zoned rural residential, but also in the city's extraterritorial zone, you've got the Peterson subdivision, which I believe is within a mile
Okay.
of this, and I believe that those are 7-acre lots, and that was platted, that used to be in the county, and now that's in the extraterritorial zone. And that was platted a while ago. That was platted many years ago.
Thank you.
Yes,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman,
Frank,
I just wanted to mention, if you have this zoning map, this is a little bit more zoomed out, and it does show kind of the yellow and blues.
Into that.
Maybe this one
Same
wasn't
as
in your
that one.
packets, but I can certainly.
We can share it, okay.
That shows a little bit more of the development in the area that Steve's referring to, just for you guys' information.
Oh, sure, okay. You have this one?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. Do you guys have this one?
Yeah, I don't.
Should be on the
Oh, it's on the back side, I
back
think.
side of the one, the other
That's what-
map, it's on the back side. Is there any other questions? And not, I'll look for a motion then to approve or deny this request for pre-zoning.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
one quick question I got. We just got done rezoning some industrial back to agriculture. I presume they plan to get this developed here. And if they don't get it developed, we're not coming back in to rezone it back to agriculture, are we? Who can answer to that? You can?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, that's not the intention here to not develop. He would like to start getting the road in once this is approved and get these listed for sale. I guess I can't speak to if something were to change and
Do you know
prices
if they-
double overnight. We can't speak to what could happen in the future here, but that is the intention to develop
The
this.
interest
so.
rates and where, do you have any commitment on any of the lots at this time, or?
I don't believe he does. No, not currently. So, and we would like to get it platted and then start to market these for sale. Just knowing that things could change at this meeting as well. We don't have any commitments from what we're proposing here from the county at this point either. So before we advertise, we'd like to make sure the plan is generally acceptable.
Okay, any other questions? If not, then I'll look for a motion to approve or deny this request.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Any other discussion? Not, then roll call vote. Commissioner Dressler,
Aye.
Commissioner Larson,
Aye.
Commissioner Richard,
Aye.
Commissioner White,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye, motion carried. Next item on our agenda is for a PLP 01-23 for Skyland Assets LLC is requesting approval of preliminary plat for the Skyland subdivision to be located in the southeast quarter, the southwest quarter, and government lot 4 of section 7, township 140 north, range 96 west, containing approximately 72.31 acres. Again, we have, Mr. Schrank, do you have any other comments on that, or?
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. Just wanted to go through the plan here a little bit with you. As indicated, this is a 13-lot residential subdivision. We do have a new road proposed through this development that'll provide access to each of these lots. That road would split this plat into 2 blocks with 6 lots on the south side of the road and 7 lots along the north side of the road. That road would connect to 114th Avenue Southwest on the west side of the property. 114th is already a gravel county road in good condition, so we'd use that for our access into the site. Skyline Drive, which is the road through the development, we're dedicating an 80-foot right-of-way for that. This developer would build that road to county standards and gravel that road up to a point where it connects with 32nd Street Southwest. 32nd Street Southwest is a section line road that's currently unimproved. So what we would plan to do in the interim until that road is ever improved, and it's shown on the preliminary plat drawing, if you guys have that with the aerial image in the background, is connect that to 32nd with a cul-de-sac. So that provides a turnaround for this development, for emergency vehicles, for any people using this subdivision road that could be extended in the future to the east to connect to the property to the east of here. We are dedicating 40 feet of right-of-way along the southeast corner. Basically, this developer's half of that section line road. But we don't plan to put that in as that's currently in that condition, and we'd like to leave it that way. Just provide the new road for the property that we're developing. We do have a few easements shown. There is a pipeline that runs just south of our proposed road. So we'd make sure the houses are set back behind that pipeline. That's an existing easement and pipeline. We just have to cross it with our driveways. There is a water line on the south end of the property, a southwest water line. The plan would be, if Southwest Water allows, those southern lots would connect to that water line for service. Block 2, we have easements between lots 5 and 6 of Block 1. And then along the north side of the road, where we could extend a new water line to provide water to the lots in Block 2. Unfortunately, Southwest Water gives no sort of commitment for water service, as you guys are probably aware. So if they do refuse to provide water service or unable to, we'd have to look to water wells for domestic water. And then we also have some utility easements shown around the blocks as well to provide electricity and other public utilities to the lots. With that, again, I would stand for any questions you may have for us.
Okay, the board have any questions?
Each lot would be having its own sewer system also.
Correct. Each lot would have a private septic system.
Any other questions?
There is water out there in case you can't get on Southwest Water's experience. Has that been the experience in the past or not?
I personally don't know. I don't know about any drilling logs out there,
would
but
know.
that would be great if there is. So I don't have any drill records out there to note, but typically you can find water from the wells out here. So
Any other questions?
I just have a real general question. Why was this particular site deemed appropriate for a subdivision, residential development?
it was what was available. The price was right, and the developer decided to purchase this property, so it was what was available. I believe he plans to construct his own residence here at some point. So he was hoping to use some of the other to generate some income and put his residence out here as well. So being the proximity to, as Steve indicated, to the city, The bypass is just a mile south. There's pretty good access back to town, but yet you can still have that rural feel here. So
And the grade is pretty much level on the whole tract.
there is a hill to the south where that 32nd Street Southwest is. The train goes up a bit there. You can kind of see again on this sheet, there is topography shown. So block 2 is fairly flat. Block 1 has some train going to the south, kind of uphill, but all conducive to development. So
Any other questions? Not,
Chairman
Yes.
Franchuk, just one thing I wanted to remind the Planning and Zoning Commission of. This is for a major subdivision like this is the preliminary plat. So this does not go to the county commission for approval, but any comments that you may have that you want the applicant to consider between now and the final subdivision plat. If you have any things you want them to consider, you can put that on the record with your recommendation, if there's anything pertaining to this. So just wanted to say this. This was also not advertised as a public hearing, however, can always take public comment. Can always take public comment if that'll help you with your recommendation.
okay. Any other questions? And also, I see there's some adjacent landowners. Do you have any questions there? They want to step up and just state your name and.
I'm Glenn Russell, and I own the property to the east there. And we're kind of visiting with it, and I visited with Adolph. He owns a property that's actually in the ETZ right to the southeast part of it. And our main concern is, well, that single access road coming in and dead ending at the section line, what's gonna happen if any of that development goes, that we go to that ETZ, who's gonna pay for that section line to get developed? Is that gonna be the county? Are they gonna say, we need to do it? I guess in these other developments, the developers had to develop that section line and have a double access in there. You know what I mean? So that's kind of our feeling, that this developer should be doing that section line at least to the end of his property and go from there. Incidentally, he said a 40-foot right-of-way, and I just did a property like this, and we had to do a 75-foot right-of-way, but that's just a real minor change. But I guess that's kind of our concerns. Adolph couldn't be here today either, but we're really concerned about our access to and limitations on that property later on, so that who's gonna pay for that road when we get to that point? And I hope that's clear. Any questions on that?
Anybody have any comments or questions for Mr. Rusho?
Thank you.
Do you have any comment for that from Mr. Shrink, do you have anything?
yeah, I guess I can address a couple things on that. First of all, the county road policy, if we do develop this by the developer, it says that's a subdivision road. That's this developer's responsibility to build. That's this developer's responsibility to maintain. So typically on these subdivisions, the developers end up setting up an HOA. That HOA pays for the blading. That HOA pays for the snow removal. So if we put this on the section line, now we have an adjoining owner who gets all the benefits of a bladed, graded, constructed road at this developer and this subdivision's cost. We don't feel that's fair. What we'd like to do is build this road for the development. At some point, we've left the section line right to travel there. If that needs to be improved at some point for the public we feel should pay for that improvement, not this developer and this development.
Any questions from Mr.
Chairman, they've done it in the past. I know when we did a subdivision that time, we were required to have two access, and we ended up taking one access. We built it, but we diverted it back to the county for their maintenance. Would you guys consider building a second access in there and just revert it back to the county as far as maintenance?
The challenge is to do a second access, we essentially have to double our road. We'd like to keep the amount of road down to make this profitable. If we have to double our road, it really cuts into the profits and what we can charge for these lots. International Fire Code basically says 2 access points are required once you get over 30 lots. We have less than half of that here. I know you guys don't necessarily follow or haven't adopted International Fire Code, but that is guidance for 2 access points. We do have a second access provided through that section line. It's just an unimproved section line road. Again, we've talked with emergency management, we've talked with the county road superintendent. Nobody felt that second access was necessary. Most of your fire trucks around here are built to fight grass fires. They can drive through anything. You don't need a gravel road to drive a fire truck. So we feel it's an unnecessary expense for the development.
Maybe initially, but as we get down the road here, you feel the taxpayers should help keep the profitability up there a little higher, but take care of the road themselves.
I feel that if there is further need for that road, it's because it's needed by the public, not by this development. We have the access we need for this development. He will build the access he needs for his development. He'll maintain his access according to your policy. But if the public needs additional access, the public should pay for that access, is our opinion.
And how is that section line right now? Is it just like a grass?
Essentially a 2-track,
Yeah,
yes.
so it's
Minimum
still
maintenance.
drivable in an emergency, but not,
Correct.
yeah, okay.
Any other questions? Okay, any other comment from the people present or public? Not, then I'll.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
On 114th.
Did you step up there and state your name for the?
Kyle Richardson, 3475, 114 W Avenue Southwest. My question would be, is with 114th, it is a narrower road. Are you guys gonna widen that road? Because you can't really take 2 vehicles down it. I mean, who's gonna take care of that maintenance of that extra traffic of a minimum of 2 vehicles per household? You know, that's 26 more vehicles going down that gravel road. Who's gonna take care of that? That the public's gonna have to take care of it?
Yeah, I guess we do not have intentions to do anything with 114th. From what we've seen, that road is a graveled road in good condition. We did not have any intention. The county road superintendent didn't indicate any concerns with that road. So we did not have any plans to improve 114th as part of this development.
Any other comment? Okay, we look to Mr. Joseph for staff recommendations.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Franchuk, Commissioners. As is stated before, this is a preliminary plat, so the recommendations and any conditions that you choose to adopt when the final plat comes in, the final plat will, should reflect those. There are a number of things that I wanted to go. I'm proposing a number of conditions, and some of them are standard for these major subdivision plats. But one thing I did talk to the applicant about is this is an instance of where they're building a cul-de-sac road, and currently the county's subdivision regulations limit the length of a cul-de-sac road to 500 feet. So the applicant has been advised that when they bring this in for a final plat, part of that application will be to ask for a variance to that requirement, something to show us that this isn't going to be an issue, or that there's not a problem, or whatever. So that will be part of their application, and what you will be voting on when the final plat comes forward. Another condition is getting a written statement from the road superintendent stating the proposed internal road meets the county's minimum residential subdivision road standards. Also submitting an estimate of the cost of providing any required improvements based on county design standards, which the applicant has submitted something for that. Prior to the final plat approval, the plat map shall be revised to include no access lines, and to include a note that access to all lots shall be provided by the internal road. And also that they will provide a plan for construction and maintenance of the private interior subdivision roads. Also, there were a number of comments. We sent this out to one of our consulting engineers for review. There were a number of technical comments that were passed on to the applicant, and they need to address those as part of the final plat. And also ask that the weed officer go out there and inspect for any new and invasive and noxious weeds, and if required by the weed officer, they would be responsible for implementing a weed control plan as approved by the weed officer. And the copy of that will be provided to Stark County zoning. And that the applicant, if this goes in, this will probably be sent out again for review by one of the county's consulting engineers, and the applicant will be responsible for the cost of that. And those are staff's recommended conditions for approval of the preliminary plat.
Okay, does the board have any questions for Ms. Gross? And hearing no other questions, and I'll look for a motion to approve or deny this preliminary plat for Skyland subdivision.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just checking with you, Steve, but we're gonna have an opportunity to vote for the final plot approval.
That's correct. And not
And at
only
that
that,
time, could we get Al Heiser in here and ask him a few questions?
I think that would be a good
So we'd
idea.
be all right to approve the preliminary, and we still would have the opportunity to have another discussion on this.
Right, and in fact, the final plat the final plat is the one that would go to the county commission for final approval. So we'll make sure that he's here that day.
Okay.
And then if that road isn't big enough for the traffic, is that something the county would expand on their own, or is that something that typically would go to the developer? Probably not the
You know,
developer.
I'm not gonna speak for the, for.
The county.
For Al, so.
Yeah,
Because it's already a road. If
Yeah.
it's not
Yes.
big enough for the traffic, the county should support that on their own, right? I would think.
I agree with Byron. I think we need to have a little more input from Al before we can make a decision on a final plat,
Sure.
just so that you're aware of that.
okay, any other discussion? Not, then I'll look for a motion to approve or deny the request.
You want to do that, if you make that motion per the conditions, or if there are any conditions you want to add on to it, so.
Okay,
Could we add the conditions onto the final approval? In case
We want to try and take
change
care of all that stuff ahead of time,
it
so.
around. Oh, sure.
Well, I'll move to approve, subject to the conditions we've discussed here and having Al present for future discussion.
I would second that, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, Commissioner Larson,
Aye.
Commissioner Richard,
Aye.
Commissioner Dressler,
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion carries. Is there anything else we have then for the meeting today? There's no planning items, right?
Only thing is that about the comprehensive plan is that's going ahead that's going ahead. We're in the process of the consultants want to do some public, some public meetings in Stark County. And there are 3 of them arranged at the last week of September. One of them is 3 different days. One of them is going to be at South Hart High School. One of them will be in Dickinson at the extension in the Dakota Room. And then the third one will be in Taylor at the Opera House. So as we get nearer to that, that'll be posted. That'll be posted and sent out to the community, along with any other community involvement. Any other ways to get community involvement. So it is moving along, as well as the consultants had contacted a number of Stark County residents to serve as an advisory committee.
Okay. Any questions on that comprehensive plan or? Okay, if not, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Okay, a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Thank you.